everyone, I'm Patrick Valdez with the Valdez Law Firm. I have been an immigration attorney for over 17 years. I have a lot of experience before the immigration courts throughout the country, and I thought I'd give you an idea as to what to expect. Unfortunately, sometimes people have contact with the local police and they're arrested and they're charged with a crime. If you're a U.S. citizen, you really don't have to worry about the immigration consequences of such an event. However, if you are a documented immigrant or an undocumented immigrant, or if you're here on a non-immigrant visa, in other words, you don't carry a U.S. passport, the fact that you're arrested by the police could have dire consequences to you. So what do you do? First and foremost, it's important to understand that whether you are undocumented or documented, the protections under the U.S. Constitution apply to you. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. You have a right to representation before the criminal court. All of those things apply to you, so it's very important that you exercise those rights the moment you have contact with the police, whether you're in custody or not. If you feel that you're going to be accused or people suspect that you have committed a crime, you have the right to remain silent. If you're taken into custody, what's absolutely critical is that you contact an attorney that not only understands the nuances and the technicalities of the criminal proceedings, but also one that also has an in-depth understanding of the immigration consequences of a criminal conviction. Not all convictions are the same. Oftentimes people throw around the words misdemeanor and felony. And if I have a misdemeanor, that doesn't have any immigration consequences, but if I have a felony, that has dire immigration consequences. That's incorrect. There are misdemeanors that have horrible immigration consequences, and then there are felonies that have negligible immigration consequences. This is why you need to get an attorney that can specialize in both areas of the law to make absolutely certain that when you make decisions in the criminal proceeding, those decisions don't have a negative impact on your immigration status here in the United States. So it's very important that if you are arrested, that you think in terms of criminal law and immigration law immediately. Common mistakes I see in our practice is people plead to, instead of going to trial, they would plead guilty to a crime that has immigration consequences, a crime that will prevent you from applying under the asylum laws in this country, crimes that will prevent you from immigrating and gaining your legal permanent residency through a family member, whether it be here or abroad. I routinely see people pleading guilty or pleading no contest to drug crimes involving controlled substances, whether it be methamphetamine or cannabis, marijuana. Please bear in mind in particular, although cannabis and the use of marijuana may be legal under state law, cannabis is considered a controlled substance for federal law, and all of the old laws pertaining to its illegality still apply in the immigration consequence. So if you are using marijuana and you hope to become a legal permanent resident, you may be doing yourself a disservice by continuing to use this controlled substance. Marijuana is not a benign thing. It's just like using cocaine. It's just like using methamphetamine. It does not help you in the immigration court, so please bear that in mind. Generally speaking, in terms of immigration, I see oftentimes people will want to, instead of paying fines, just do jail time. That could be a mistake as well for two reasons. One, if you spend too much time in custody, it could prevent you from seeking defenses before the immigration court and prevent you from showing good moral character, which is sometimes one of the requirements for defenses before the court. Also, the longer you stay in custody, the more likely that you will fall on the radar of the immigration authorities. And as soon as you're released, you may get a knock on the door from the immigration authorities to take you into custody. Another problem that happens in the criminal courts that could surface in the immigration courts is that if you plead to a crime that subjects you to mandatory detention in the immigration courts, that could prevent an attorney from gaining bond for you. So say, for example, you finish your sentence in the state courts and you are taken into custody by the immigration authorities, you may have an opportunity to apply for a bond so that you can leave or post bail. However, there are certain crimes, like a drug crime, that prevent an immigration judge from granting your release, and you're stuck in custody. That would be very, very bad. And so what you would want to do is you would want to make certain that whatever you plead to in the state courts doesn't foreclose the opportunity to apply for a bond in the immigration courts should you be taken into custody by the immigration authorities. What we do here at the Valdez Law Firm is we evaluate somebody's history in this country, whether it be their immigration history or their criminal history. Every one of our clients goes through a thorough background check, even if they swear that they've never been arrested or have never been detained at the border. We triple check that. We have live scan services in our offices. We prepare fingerprinting electronically and ink fingerprinting in our office. And we make absolutely certain that we have a full assessment of anybody's history here in the United States. If we identify crimes that have immigration consequences, we have the ability to go back to court, back to the state court, and reopen those cases. And this is how that works generally. If we can determine that nobody advised our client of the immigration consequences of a conviction while they were in state court, we can use that error on the part of the criminal defense attorney that was there at the time, or on the part of the court. We can use that error to reopen the case and vacate or eliminate that conviction. And once it's eliminated, the immigration consequences go away as well. Now, once the case is reopened, we can provide a very zealous defense before the state court. But what's unique about the Valdez Law Firm is we can do that with the immigration consequences in mind as well. So if we can resolve the immigration case, it'll be a resolution that won't have negative immigration consequences, whether it be from the immigration court or in the context of an application for permanent residency in the consulate or here in the United States. So recently, we had a client, a long-term client, that while we were in immigration proceedings, he suffered a conviction for domestic violence. Domestic violence has various forms under California law. There are certain forms that have bad immigration consequences, and there's certain forms that don't have terrible immigration consequences. An arrest and a conviction is never a good thing in the immigration world. But there are big differences between one that forecloses defenses in front of the court and ones that are left to the discretion of the judge in terms of granting relief. Our client, unfortunately, went to court, was unrepresented, and he pled out to a crime that prevented us from defending him in front of the immigration court. It's a very straightforward case, but for this conviction, we went back to the state court. We highlighted the errors that the court made because the court didn't advise the client about the possible negative immigration consequences, or just a warning that is required under California law. And we reopened the case. We negotiated the reopening with the district attorney. They agreed to reopening the case, so it wasn't a very contentious hearing, and the conviction is now eliminated. The case is now open. We're going to be representing him in the state court case. We're either going to go to trial, or we're going to negotiate a plea to a conviction that has negligible or nearly no immigration consequences, and we're hoping that would resolve the matter that's now pending before the immigration court as well. That's just one example of what we can do. Thank you to everybody for listening to our video. I will reply to all comments that you leave below, and if you want a consultation with one of our lawyers, give us a call at the Valdez Law Firm. We look forward to hearing from you.